A scream pierces the fog-drenched streets of London, shattering the silence of a royal gala. Welcome to the story of Poirot and the murder that could topple a throne. A tale of secrets and shadows where one false step could unravel an empire. Grab a cup of tea, take a seat, and dive into this gripping mystery. If you love a good twist, subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world to us. Chapter 1. The Gala of Secrets, the grand ballroom of Buckingham Palace, glitters under crystal chandeliers. Lords and ladies swirl in elegant dances, their laughter masking whispers of scandal. Hercule Poirot, the famed Belgian detective, stands quietly in a corner, his sharp eyes scanning the room. His waxed moustache twitches as he observes the guests, each one a potential player in a dangerous game. Tonight is no ordinary gala. The king is hosting a celebration for a foreign prince, a man whose alliance could secure England's power or plunge it into chaos. But something feels wrong. Poirot senses it in the air like a storm brewing beneath the polished smiles. The evening begins with a toast. The king raises his glass, his voice steady, but his eyes nervous. The prince, a tall figure with a cold smile, nods in return. Poirot notices the prince's hand tighten around his glass, a flicker of tension. Across the room, Lady Eleanor, a sharp-witted noblewoman known for her political influence, chats with a young diplomat. Her laughter is too loud, her gestures too quick. Poirot's mind hums. Why is she so uneasy? He sips his wine, pretending to enjoy the music, but his attention never wavers. Every detail matters: the way a waiter lingers too long near the prince, the way a duchess fidgets with her necklace. These are clues, tiny threads in a tapestry of deceit. Then it happens. A sharp cry cuts through the music. The crowd freezes as a body collapses near the grand staircase. It's Lord Harrington, the king's closest advisor, sprawled lifeless, his face pale and a crimson stain spreading across his chest. Gasps ripple through the room. The king pales, calling for guards. The prince steps back, his expression unreadable. Poirot moves forward, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to the chaos. He kneels beside the body, noting the small dagger still clutched in Harrington's hand. Suicide, murder. The answer is never simple. Poirot's mind races. Harrington was no ordinary man. He held secrets that could sway nations, deals made in shadowed rooms, promises that could topple thrones. His death is no accident, but a spark that could ignite a fire. The detective stands, his grey eyes narrowing. The gala has become a crime scene, and every guest is a suspect. He adjusts his bow tie, a small smile playing on his lips. The game has begun, and Poirot loves a challenge. As guards seal the exits, Poirot begins to question the guests. The prince claims he saw nothing, but his voice wavers. Lady Eleanor insists she was dancing, yet her dress is oddly creased, as if she'd been somewhere else. The young diplomat stammers, his alibi weak. Poirot listens, his mind piecing together the puzzle. Each lie is a clue, each glance a hint. The night is young and the truth is buried deep, but Poirot is relentless. He will uncover it, no matter the cost. This murder is more than a crime, it's a threat to the crown itself. The king watches from a distance, his hands trembling. Poirot knows time is short. If the killer isn't found, the alliance with the prince could collapse, and with it England's stability. The detective's work has just begun, but already the stakes are clear. One wrong move and the throne could fall. The ballroom grows quiet as Poirot steps back, letting the guards handle the crowd. His mind is already moving to the next step. Who had the most to gain from Harrington's death? And what secrets did he carry to his grave? The answers lie ahead, waiting to be uncovered. The story is just beginning, and the shadows are growing longer. Chapter 2. Shadows in the study. Hercule Poirot slips away from the chaotic ballroom, navigating the palace's dimly lit corridors. His polished shoes click softly on the marble floor as he heads toward Lord Harrington's private study. The air grows heavy with the scent of old books and wax polish. If answers exist, they'll be found here among the dead man's papers. The study door creaks open, revealing a room bathed in the glow of a single desk lamp. Shelves line the walls, stuffed with leather-bound volumes and rolled maps. A mahogany desk sits at the center, its surface cluttered with letters and a half-empty glass of brandy. Poirot's eyes sweep the room, noting every detail. A chair is slightly askew as if someone left in a hurry. A drawer is ajar, its lock scratched. Someone was here before him. He moves to the desk, his gloved hands carefully sifting through papers. Most are mundane trade agreements, diplomatic notes. But one document catches his eye, a sealed envelope marked with the royal crest. He hesitates, then breaks the wax. Inside a single page lists coded names and sums of money tied to a secret treaty with the prince's nation. Treason? Blackmail? The implications are explosive. A faint noise interrupts his thoughts, a rustle from the corner. Poirot freezes his hand resting on his cane. The shadows shift and a figure emerges, Lady Eleanor, her face pale but composed. She claims she came to retrieve a personal letter, but her eyes dart to the envelope in Poirot's hand. He smiles politely, tucking the document away. Her story is flimsy. Why risk sneaking here during a murder investigation? She excuses herself, but Poirot notes the tremor in her voice, the way her fingers clutch her shawl. He continues his search, finding a hidden compartment in the desk. Inside lies a small key engraved with a falcon emblem. It's not a palace key, it's too ornate, too specific. Poirot pockets it, his mind racing. Was Harrington killed for this key, or for the treaty? The detective's thoughts are interrupted by footsteps heavy and deliberate. A guard appears, summoned by the king to secure the study. Poirot nods, stepping aside, but his mind is elsewhere. The guard's boots are muddy, unusual for someone stationed indoors all evening. As the study is sealed, Poirot lingers in the hallway. The key feels heavy in his pocket, a clue to a larger puzzle. Lady Eleanor's presence raises questions. Was she an ally of Harrington or his betrayer? The guard's muddy boots suggest he was outside, perhaps near the gardens where Harrington's body was found. And the coded treaty hints at a conspiracy far beyond a single murder. The throne's stability hangs by a thread, and Poirot knows the killer is still close, watching, waiting. He adjusts his coat, his mind already mapping the next move. The palace is a maze of secrets, and every step forward reveals a new layer of deceit. The key, the treaty, the nervous glances, they all point to something bigger. Poirot's mustache twitches as he heads back toward the ballroom. The night is far from over, and the truth is just out of reach, but he's closing in. Chapter 3. The Garden's Whispered Secrets. Hercule Poirot steps into the palace gardens, where the cool night air carries the scent of roses and damp earth. The chaos of the ballroom feels distant now, replaced by the eerie quiet of moonlit paths and shadowed hedges. He clutches the ornate key with the falcon emblem, its weight a reminder of the mystery deepening around him. The muddy boots of the guard sparked a suspicion, and Poirot's instincts lead him here, to the sprawling gardens where secrets might linger in the darkness. The murder of Lord Harrington is no isolated act. It's a thread in a web that could ensnare the crown itself, and the gardens may hold the next clue. The gravel crunches under Poirot's polished shoes as he moves past manicured flower beds toward a secluded corner of the grounds. Lanterns cast flickering light, but the shadows are thick, pooling beneath ancient oaks and stone benches. He pauses near a marble fountain, its gentle trickle masking the distant hum of the palace. His sharp eyes scan the ground, noting disturbed patches of earth. A faint trail of mud leads to a wrought iron gate, half hidden by ivy. The gate is slightly ajar, its hinges rusted but recently used. Poirot's mind hums. This could be where the guards' boots found their mud, or where someone fled after Harrington's death. He pushes the gate open, revealing a narrow path winding into a private grove. The air grows colder, the silence heavier. At the path's end stands a small pavilion, its wooden roof weathered but sturdy. Poirot approaches, his cane tapping softly. Inside, he finds a stone table, and on it, a single object, a silk glove, delicate and embroidered with a crest matching the prince's insignia. His mustache twitches. The glove is dry, untouched by the evening's dew, meaning it was placed here recently, perhaps tonight. Was the prince here, or is someone framing him? The glove is a bold clue, too obvious to be accidental. Poirot kneels, examining the pavilion floor. Scratches mark the stone, as if something heavy was dragged. He follows the marks to a loose flagstone, which he lifts with effort. Beneath lies a small metal box, locked with a slot that matches the falcon key. His heart quickens, but he remains composed, slipping the key into the lock. The box clicks open, revealing a bundle of letters tied with a black ribbon. Each letter is written in a hurried script, detailing meetings between Harrington and an unnamed figure referred to only as the Falcon. The letters speak of payments, betrayals, and a plan to sabotage the Royal Alliance. One phrase stands out: the throne must fall before the solstice. The detective's mind races. The solstice is days away, and these letters suggest a conspiracy far beyond a single murder. Was Harrington a traitor, or was he trying to expose one? The glove points to the prince, but Poirot distrusts easy answers. He tucks the letters into his coat, replacing the box and flagstone. As he stands, a twig snaps nearby. He freezes, his hand tightening on his cane. A figure darts through the trees, too quick to identify. A cloak, a glint of metal, then nothing. Poirot considers pursuit but knows the gardens are a maze. Instead, he memorizes the figure's gait, slight and hurried, possibly a woman's. He returns to the path, his thoughts a whirlwind. The glove, the letters, the fleeing figure. They all weave into the puzzle, but the picture is incomplete. The prince's involvement seems likely, yet his cold demeanour at the gala suggested control, not panic. Could Lady Eleanor, with her creased dress and nervous glances, be the Falcon? Or is the guard, with his muddy boots, more than a bystander? The palace is alive with secrets, each one a potential spark to ignite chaos. Poirot's grey cells work tirelessly, piecing together motives and alibis. As he nears the palace, a young maid approaches, her face pale. She claims she saw someone near the pavilion earlier, a man in a dark coat carrying a small bundle. Her voice trembles, and she refuses to meet Poirot's eyes before hurrying away. Another clue, another thread. The detective pauses at the garden's edge, glancing back at the pavilion's silhouette. The night grows colder, the stakes higher. The throne hangs in the balance, and the killer is still out there, their next move hidden in the shadows. Poirot adjusts his hat, his resolve unshaken. The gardens have whispered their secrets, but they've only deepened the mystery. The letters must be studied, the glove traced, the figure identified. He heads back to the palace, ready to confront the next layer of deception. The truth is closer, but danger is closer still. Chapter 4. The prince's gambit, Hercule Poirot, re-enters the palace, the bundle of letters tucked securely inside his coat. The grand halls are quieter now, the gala's guests confined to the ballroom under guard as the investigation unfolds. The air hums with tension, servants whispering in corners and nobles exchanging wary glances. Poirot's mind is sharp, the falcon key and silk glove weighing heavily on his thoughts. The letters point to a conspiracy, but the prince's crest on the glove demands his attention. Is the foreign prince a mastermind or a pawn? Poirot decides it's time to confront the man whose alliance holds the fate of nations. He finds the prince in a private parlour, a richly decorated room with velvet drapes and a roaring fire. The prince stands by a window, his tall frame rigid, staring into the night. His dark eyes flicker with something, anger, fear, or calculation, as Poirot enters. The detective bows slightly, his manner polite but unyielding. He begins with pleasantries, commenting on the evening's tragedy, but his words are a net, carefully cast to draw out truth. The prince responds coolly, claiming ignorance of Harrington's death beyond what he saw in the ballroom. His voice is steady, but Poirot notes the slight clench of his jaw, the way his fingers trace the edge of his cuff. Poirot shifts tactics, producing the silk glove with the prince's crest. He holds it delicately, as if it were a bomb. The prince's eyes narrow, but he insists it's not his, suggesting it was stolen or planted. Poirot nods, his face unreadable, and mentions the pavilion in the gardens. The prince's composure slips for a moment. His shoulders stiffen, his breath catches. He recovers quickly, claiming he spent the evening indoors, surrounded by guests. But Poirot's grey cells are at work. The glove was dry, placed recently, and the prince's alibi is too perfect, too rehearsed. The detective presses further, asking about Harrington's role in the treaty negotiations. The prince admits Harrington was a key figure, but insists their dealings were routine. Poirot senses a half-truth. The letters mentioned the falcon, and the key's emblem matches the glove's crest. Is the prince the falcon, or is he being framed to destabilize the alliance? Poirot shifts to a bolder move, hinting at the letters without revealing their contents. The prince's reaction is subtle, a flicker of alarm in his eyes, quickly masked by a forced laugh. He excuses himself, claiming a need to speak with the king, but Poirot knows he's rattled. As the prince leaves, Poirot lingers in the parlour, examining the room. A discarded cigar stub lies in an ashtray, its brand foreign, matching the prince's homeland. A crumpled note lies near the fireplace, half burned but legible. It reads, "Meet at midnight, pavilion, bring the payment." The handwriting matches the letters from the garden box. Poirot's moustache twitches. The prince was in the gardens, or someone wants him to appear guilty. The detective pockets the note, his mind racing through possibilities. The prince's cool demeanour hides something: guilt, fear, or perhaps defiance. A soft knock interrupts his thoughts. The young diplomat from the gala enters, his face flushed and nervous. He claims he overheard the prince arguing with Harrington earlier that evening, near the ballroom's terrace. The argument was heated, something about broken promises and a debt unpaid. The diplomat stammers, unsure if he should have spoken, and hurries out. Poirot files this away. The diplomat's story aligns with the letter's hints of betrayal, but his nervousness suggests he knows more than he's saying. Is he an innocent witness or another player in this deadly game? Poirot steps into the hallway, the palace's grandeur now a backdrop to treachery. The prince's reaction, the note, the diplomat's tale. They all point to a web of deceit centered on the treaty. The throne's stability hinges on this alliance, and Harrington's death threatens to unravel it. Was the prince plotting against the crown, or is he a target, his crest used to mislead? The midnight meeting in the pavilion looms large, a clue to the next move in this conspiracy. As Poirot heads toward the king's chambers to report his findings, he passes a window overlooking the gardens. A shadow moves near the pavilion, too brief to identify. The killer is still active, their plan unfolding. Poirot's resolve hardens. The prince is a key piece in this puzzle, but the board is vast, and every move must be calculated. The truth is close, but the danger is closer, and the night promises more revelations. Chapter 5. The King's Counsel Hercule Poirot navigates the palace's labyrinthine corridors, his polished cane tapping rhythmically as he heads toward the king's private chambers. The weight of the letters, the falcon key, the silk glove, and the half-burned note presses against his mind. Each clue a fragment of a conspiracy threatening to topple the throne. The prince's guarded reactions linger in his thoughts, but now Poirot seeks the king's perspective. As Harrington's closest advisor, the king may hold answers or secrets that could illuminate the murder's true purpose. The air grows warmer as he approaches the royal quarters, the scent of polished wood and candle wax replacing the garden's earthy chill. Guards nod respectfully, granting him entry, but their tense postures betray the palace's unease. The king's chamber is a study in opulence. Tapestries of gold and crimson adorn the walls. A massive oak table dominates the centre, and a fire crackles in a stone hearth. The king sits in a high-backed chair, his crown absent but his authority palpable. His face is drawn, the lines deeper than Poirot remembers, as if the night's events have aged him. Beside him stands Sir Reginald, a stern-faced counsellor with a reputation for ruthless loyalty to the crown. Poirot bows, his sharp eyes noting the king's trembling hands and Sir Reginald's rigid stance. The room feels charged, like a storm about to break. Poirot begins with measured words, expressing sympathy for Harrington's loss while subtly probing the king's knowledge. He mentions the gala's tension, the prince's unease, and the coded treaty found in Harrington's study. The king listens, his gaze fixed on the fire, but his fingers tighten on the armrest. He admits Harrington was negotiating a delicate alliance with the prince's nation, one meant to secure trade routes and military support. But his voice falters when Poirot asks about Harrington's enemies. The king glances at Sir Reginald, a silent signal Poirot doesn't miss. Sir Reginald interjects, claiming Harrington's death was likely personal, a grudge unrelated to politics. His tone is too firm, too dismissive. Unconvinced, Poirot shifts tactics. He reveals the falcon key, describing its discovery in the study without mentioning the garden's letters or glove. The king's eyes widen briefly, and he mutters about a forgotten vault, but Sir Reginald cuts him off, insisting the key is insignificant, likely a decorative trinket. Poirot's moustache twitches. Sir Reginald's haste to deflect is telling. The detective changes course, asking about the prince's behaviour during negotiations. The king hesitates, then admits the prince was demanding, pushing for concessions that strained England's coffers. Harrington, he says, was frustrated but loyal, determined to protect the crown's interests. As the conversation deepens, Poirot notices a small detail. A map on the table, partially unrolled, showing the prince's homeland with red ink circling key ports. A note in the margin, in Harrington's precise handwriting, reads, "Falcon demands too much. Risk to crown." Poirot's mind races. This confirms the letter's hints of betrayal. But is the falcon the prince or another? He asks casually about the map, and Sir Reginald snatches it away, claiming it's routine diplomacy. The king looks uneasy, his fingers drumming. Poirot senses a rift. Does the king trust his counsellor, or is Sir Reginald hiding something? A knock at the door interrupts. A guard enters, whispering to Sir Reginald, who excuses himself abruptly. Alone with the king, Poirot seizes the moment. He leans closer, his voice soft but firm, and asks if Harrington ever mentioned a figure called the Falcon. The king pales, his eyes darting to the door. He murmurs that Harrington warned of a traitor within the court, someone working to undermine the treaty. Before he can say more, Sir Reginald returns, his expression dark. The moment is lost, but Poirot has what he needs. Confirmation of a conspiracy, and a hint that the king fears his own circle. As Poirot prepares to leave, he notices a small ledger on a side table, its pages marked with cryptic numbers. He pretends to adjust his coat, memorizing the top page's figures, dates and sums matching those in the garden letters. Is this Harrington's record of payments to the Falcon? Poirot files it away, thanking the king for his time. Sir Reginald escorts him out, his gaze cold, almost warning. In the corridor, Poirot pauses, his grey cells whirring. The king's fear, Sir Reginald's deflections, the ledger's numbers, they point to a plot woven deep within the palace. The night grows late, but the mystery burns brighter. The Falcon's identity remains elusive, and the prince's role is unclear. Was Harrington killed to silence him or to send a message? Sir Reginald's behaviour raises suspicions. His quick dismissals, his control over the king. The ledger and map are new threads, but the web is vast. Poirot adjusts his bow tie, his resolve unshaken. The throne teeters, and the killer's next move looms. He must act swiftly, for the solstice approaches, and with it the Falcon's plan. Chapter 6. The Maid's Confession. Hercule Poirot glides through the palace's dimly lit service corridors, the opulence of the royal chambers replaced by plain stone walls and the faint scent of cleaning polish. The ledger's cryptic numbers, the king's fear, and Sir Reginald's evasiveness swirl in his mind, each clue tightening the knot of the conspiracy surrounding Lord Harrington's murder. The Falcon's shadow looms large, but Poirot's thoughts return to the young maid who spoke of a man in a dark coat near the pavilion. Her trembling voice and averted eyes suggest she knows more than she shared. Finding her now is critical. She may hold a key to unraveling the traitor's identity before the solstice deadline. The service wing buzzes quietly with activity, maids and footmen moving swiftly under the strain of the night's chaos. Poirot's sharp eyes scan their faces until he spots her, a slight girl with auburn hair, carrying a tray of linens near the kitchen entrance. Her name, he recalls from a servant's roster, is Clara. He approaches with a gentle smile, his voice soft to ease her nerves. Clara startles, nearly dropping the tray, but Poirot's calm demeanour steadies her. He asks to speak privately, guiding her to a small pantry where the clatter of pots muffles their words. The air smells of bread and herbs, a stark contrast to the tension in her eyes. Poirot begins with kindness, complimenting her diligence before steering to the pavilion. Clara fidgets, her fingers twisting a corner of her apron. She repeats her earlier story. A man in a dark coat, carrying a bundle, seen near the pavilion before the gala's chaos erupted. But Poirot presses gently, noting her hesitation. He mentions the glove with the prince's crest, watching her reaction. Clara's eyes widen, and she blurts that she saw the same crest on a letter the man dropped, though she couldn't read its contents. Her voice quavers as she admits she hid this, fearing for her safety. Poirot nods, his expression reassuring, but his mind races. This letter could link the prince directly to the pavilion. He asks about the man's appearance, and Clara describes a tall figure, face shadowed by a hat, moving with purpose. She saw him slip through the garden gate, the same one Poirot found ajar. But then she falters, admitting she recognized his coat. It belonged to Sir Reginald, the king's counsellor. Her voice drops to a whisper, as if the walls might hear. She saw Sir Reginald earlier that day, arguing with Harrington in a secluded alcove, their voices low but heated. Clara overheard one word: Falcon. Poirot's moustache twitches. Sir Reginald's name keeps surfacing, his deflections in the king's chamber now cast in a darker light. Clara's confession deepens. She reveals she was tasked with delivering a sealed package to Harrington's study that afternoon, but when she arrived, the door was locked, and she heard voices inside, Harrington's and another, unfamiliar but sharp. She left the package outside, but when she returned later, it was gone. Poirot's mind connects the dots. The scratched lock on Harrington's desk, the hidden compartment with the Falcon key. Was the package a delivery to the Falcon, or evidence Harrington meant to protect? Clara's eyes brim with tears. She fears she's entangled in something dangerous. Poirot reassures her, urging her to stay silent for now. As they part, Poirot notices a folded cloth on the pantry shelf, its edge stained with a dark smudge, dried blood. He examines it discreetly, noting its fine weave, unlike a servant's rag. It's a man's handkerchief, monogrammed with an R. Sir Reginald again, or another player? Poirot pockets it, his grey cells humming. Clara's story ties the counsellor to the pavilion and Harrington's final hours, but her fear suggests a larger threat. The prince's crest, the letters, the ledger, all point to a conspiracy, but Sir Reginald's presence weaves through every clue like a thread. Leaving the pantry, Poirot passes a window overlooking the courtyard. A figure moves swiftly toward the stables, cloaked and hatless, too far to identify. The gait matches the shadow he saw in the gardens. Slight, hurried, perhaps female. Could it be Lady Eleanor, whose creased dress and nervous glances linger in his suspicions? Or is another player emerging? The palace is a chessboard, and Poirot senses the game is accelerating. The solstice looms, and the Falcon's plan is nearing its climax. Clara's confession has cracked open a door, but behind it lies a maze of motives. Poirot adjusts his coat, the handkerchief and Clara's words adding weight to his task. Sir Reginald must be watched, his role clarified. The prince's crest demands further scrutiny, and the mysterious figure in the courtyard could be the next link. The throne's fate hangs by a thread, and every clue pulls Poirot closer to the truth, or to danger. He heads toward the stables, determined to trace the figure before the trail vanishes. The night is a puzzle, and Poirot is its relentless solver. Chapter 7. The Stables at Midnight. Hercule Poirot moves swiftly through the palace's darkened courtyard, his cane a silent partner as he follows the fleeting figure glimpsed from the window. The night air is crisp, carrying the faint scent of hay and leather from the nearby stables. Clara's confession, the monogrammed handkerchief, Sir Reginald's heated argument with Harrington, and the letter with the prince's crest has sharpened Poirot's focus. The conspiracy threatening the throne grows clearer, but the figure darting toward the stables could be the key to unmasking the falcon. The solstice deadline looms, and every moment tightens the noose around the killer's plan. The stables loom ahead, a low stone building with lantern light spilling from its open doors. Horses snort softly, their breath visible in the chilly air. Poirot pauses at the entrance, his sharp eyes scanning the shadows. The courtyard is empty now, the figure vanished, but faint footprints mark the damp earth, leading inside. He steps cautiously, his polished shoes silent on the straw-strewn floor. The stables are a maze of stalls and tack rooms, the air thick with the musk of animals and oiled leather. A single lantern swings gently, casting flickering shadows that dance like ghosts. Poirot follows the footprints to a corner stall where a black mare paws the ground nervously. Behind a stack of hay bales, he finds a discarded cloak, fine wool, too elegant for a servant. He examines it, noting a torn hem and a faint smudge of garden mud. The cloak matches the one he saw in the gardens, its owner slight and hurried. His mind flashes to Lady Eleanor, her creased dress and nervous demeanour at the gala. Could she be the figure weaving through this deadly plot? He tucks the cloak under his arm, his grey cells piecing together the night's clues. A soft clink draws his attention, a metallic sound from the tack room. Poirot moves silently, his cane raised like a weapon. Inside, he finds a small leather case, half open on a workbench. It contains a vial of clear liquid, a syringe, and a folded paper. The paper is a map of the palace, marked with a red X at the king's private dining hall, where a breakfast with the prince is scheduled for dawn. The vial's label is in a foreign script, but Poirot recognizes the symbol for poison. His heart quickens. This is no mere murder plot. It's an assassination in the making, timed to disrupt the alliance. As he pockets the vial and map, a shadow shifts behind him. He turns, but too late. A figure lunges, knocking the lantern to the ground. The flame gutters, plunging the room into near darkness. Poirot dodges, his cane striking the attacker's arm. A muffled curse, low and feminine, echoes before the figure flees, footsteps fading toward the stable's rear exit. Poirot gives chase but stops at the door, knowing the courtyard's darkness will hide them. He catches his breath, noting the attacker's slight build and swift gait. Again, possibly Lady Eleanor, but he needs proof. Returning to the tack room, Poirot examines the spilled contents of the case. A small locket lies among the straw, its clasp broken. Inside is a miniature portrait of a young man, strikingly similar to the prince but younger, perhaps a brother. The locket's chain is tangled with a ribbon matching the one binding the garden letters. Poirot's mind races, the prince's crest, the poison, the locket. They suggest a personal motive, not just political. Is the prince protecting a family secret, or is someone using his name to sow chaos? The red X on the map points to a bold strike, one that could shatter the throne at dawn. A stable boy enters, startled by Poirot's presence. The boy, no older than 16, stammers that he saw a woman in a cloak near the stables earlier, speaking to a man in a dark hat. The man handed her the leather case, then vanished toward the palace. The boy didn't see his face, but noticed a limp in his gait, unlike Sir Reginald's steady stride. Poirot thanks him, his thoughts swirling. The limp could belong to the young diplomat, whose nervous alibi at the gala raised suspicions. The web tightens, but the players remain elusive. Poirot leaves the stables, the locket, vial, and map joining the growing collection of clues. The night is a tapestry of betrayal, each thread: Clara's confession, Sir Reginald's deflections, the prince's unease, and now the poison, pointing to a plot against the king himself. The feminine curse in the tack room lingers in his mind. Lady Eleanor's shadow grows darker, but the locket suggests a deeper connection to the prince's family. The dawn breakfast is hours away, and the Falcon's plan is unfolding faster than Poirot can chase. He adjusts his bow tie, the cold air sharpening his resolve. The stables have revealed a deadly intent, but the killer's face remains hidden. The palace sleeps uneasily, and Poirot must move quickly to protect the king and unmask the traitor. The next clue waits, perhaps in the dining hall or among the prince's entourage. The throne's fate hangs by a fragile thread, and Poirot is determined to hold it fast. Chapter 8. The Dining Hall's Hidden Truths. Hercule Poirot strides through the palace's grand corridors, the weight of the night's discoveries pressing heavily on his mind. The locket with the prince's younger likeness, the vial of poison, and the map marked with a red X at the king's private dining hall form a chilling picture of an assassination plot set for dawn. The feminine curse in the stables, the cloak's torn hem, and the stable boy's tale of a woman and a limping man weave a tapestry of intrigue that threatens to unravel the throne. The solstice is mere days away, and the Falcon's plan is racing toward its climax. Poirot's grey cells hum with urgency as he heads to the dining hall, determined to uncover the next piece of the puzzle before the killer strikes again. The dining hall lies in a quiet wing of the palace, its heavy oak doors flanked by 2 guards who nod stiffly as Poirot approaches. The room beyond is a masterpiece of elegance. A long mahogany table gleams under a chandelier of cut crystal, its light reflecting off silver candelabras and polished china. Tall windows overlook the gardens, their curtains drawn to block the pre-dawn chill. The air carries a faint scent of wax and lavender, but to Poirot, it feels heavy with secrets. This is where the king and the prince will meet at dawn, a meeting now shadowed by the threat of poison. He surveys the room, his sharp eyes noting every detail: the placement of chairs, the alignment of cutlery, the faint dust on a sideboard that suggests recent disturbance. Poirot begins his inspection at the table, where place settings are already laid for the breakfast. He examines a silver goblet at the king's seat, its rim faintly tarnished, a detail out of place in the palace's meticulous care. He lifts it carefully, sniffing the interior. A bitter, almost imperceptible odour lingers, not wine or water but something chemical. His heart quickens. The vial from the stables comes to mind. He sets the goblet down, his gloved fingers tracing the tablecloth for any residue. A faint stain, nearly invisible, marks the cloth near the prince's seat. Poirot scrapes a sample into a small envelope, his mind racing. Was the poison meant for the king, the prince, or both? The red X on the map suggests a precise target, but the Falcon's motives remain elusive. Moving to the sideboard, Poirot finds a tray of crystal decanters, one slightly askew. He opens it, noting a cloudy tinge in the liquid, another hint of tampering. Behind the decanters, tucked against the wall, lies a small brass key. Its design simpler than the Falcon key but etched with a tiny crown. Poirot pockets it, suspecting it unlocks something within the dining hall itself. His gaze shifts to a locked cabinet in the corner, its wood carved with royal insignias. The key fits perfectly, revealing a hidden compartment containing a leather-bound journal. Its pages are filled with Harrington's handwriting, detailing meetings with the Falcon, dates, times, and cryptic references to the crown's weakness and the prince's leverage. One entry, dated yesterday, reads, "The Falcon insists on the dining hall. Trust is broken. I fear for the king." Poirot's moustache twitches as he absorbs the journal's weight. Harrington knew of the plot, perhaps tried to stop it, and paid with his life. The journal mentions a silent partner within the palace, someone close to the king. Sir Reginald's name surfaces again, his deflections in the royal chamber now glaringly suspicious. But the feminine curse in the stables and Lady Eleanor's creased dress gnaw at Poirot's thoughts. Could she be the silent partner, or is the limping man, the diplomat perhaps, playing a larger role? The journal offers no names, only warnings, and Poirot senses time slipping away. A soft creak interrupts his thoughts. He turns, his cane ready, as a panel in the wall slides open, a hidden servant's passage. A figure hesitates in the shadows, then steps forward. The young diplomat, his face pale and his hands trembling. He claims he was checking the hall for security, but his eyes dart to the journal in Poirot's hand. Poirot's voice is calm but probing, asking why he's here so late. The diplomat stammers, admitting he overheard Harrington and Sir Reginald arguing about the prince's demands days ago. He claims he saw Lady Eleanor slip into this very passage during the gala, carrying a small case. His limp, slight but noticeable, matches the stable boy's description. Poirot's mind sharpens. The diplomat is either a witness or a conspirator. Pressing further, Poirot asks about the locket. The diplomat flinches, denying knowledge, but his fingers fidget with a ring bearing the prince's crest. Poirot notes it, recalling the locket's portrait. Is the diplomat tied to the prince's family, perhaps a relative or agent? Before he can answer, footsteps echo outside, and the diplomat bolts back through the passage, leaving Poirot alone. The detective considers pursuit but chooses to stay, knowing the hall holds more secrets. He examines the passage's entrance, finding a scrap of fabric caught in the hinges. Silk, matching Lady Eleanor's gala dress. The web tightens, but the players remain slippery. Poirot returns to the journal, skimming its final pages. A sketch of the dining hall marks a trapdoor beneath the table, hidden under a rug. He locates it, lifting the rug to reveal a wooden panel. The brass key unlocks it, exposing a narrow shaft leading to the palace's undercroft. A faint smell of damp stone and oil wafts up, and Poirot hears a distant drip of water. This could be an escape route, or a path for the killer to strike unseen. He closes the trapdoor, his mind mapping the palace's hidden veins. The dining hall is a stage, and the breakfast a performance where the falcon plans to strike. As he prepares to leave, a guard enters, summoned by the noise. Poirot deflects suspicion, claiming he's ensuring the king's safety. The guard's eyes linger on the sideboard, and Poirot notices mud on his boots, fresh like those in the gardens. Another thread, another suspect. The detective files it away, thanking the guard before stepping into the corridor. The journal, the tainted goblet, the trapdoor, and the diplomat's ring form a constellation of clues. But the falcon's face remains hidden. Lady Eleanor, Sir Reginald the diplomat, the prince, each could be the traitor, or all could be pawns in a larger game. The pre-dawn sky glows faintly through the windows, signalling the breakfast's approach. Poirot's resolve hardens. The dining hall has revealed its secrets, but the danger is imminent. The king's life, the prince's alliance, and the throne's stability hang in the balance. He must protect the breakfast while chasing the limping diplomat and confronting Lady Eleanor's role. The solstice clock ticks louder, and the falcon's shadow grows darker. Poirot adjusts his hat, ready to face the dawn's deadly stakes. Chapter 9. The Breakfast of Betrayal. Hercule Poirot stands at the threshold of the palace's dining hall, the faint glow of dawn seeping through the tall windows. The journal's warnings, the tainted goblet, the trapdoor beneath the table, and the diplomat's nervous flight weave a tapestry of treachery that threatens the king's life at this very breakfast. The locket, the poison vial, and the scrap of Lady Eleanor's silk deepen the mystery, while Sir Reginald's deflections and the limping diplomat's ring hint at a conspiracy circling the prince. The solstice is perilously close, and the falcon's plan to destabilize the throne is set to strike today. Poirot's grey cells hum with precision, his every sense attuned to the danger lurking in this elegant room. He must protect the king, unmask the traitor, and unravel the plot before the breakfast begins. The dining hall is pristine, its mahogany table gleaming under the chandelier's soft light. Servants bustle quietly, arranging fresh linens and polishing silver. Unaware of the poisoned goblet Poirot identified earlier, he moves with purpose, his polished shoes silent on the polished floor, and discreetly swaps the king's goblet with a clean one from the sideboard. The tainted one he wraps in a handkerchief, tucking it into his coat for later analysis. His eyes scan the room, noting the trapdoor's rug undisturbed and the hidden servant's passage concealed behind its panel. Every detail is a potential clue, every shadow a threat. The breakfast, meant to solidify the alliance with the prince, is now a stage for betrayal. Poirot requests a private audience with the head butler, a wiry man named Graves, whose sharp eyes betray a deep knowledge of the palace's inner workings. In a quiet alcove, Poirot questions him about the dining hall's preparations. Graves confirms that Lady Eleanor visited the hall late last night, claiming to inspect the table settings for the king. Her presence aligns with the silk scrap in the passage, but Graves adds a new detail. He saw the young diplomat lingering near the sideboard, adjusting a decanter. Poirot's mind sharpens. The diplomat's limp, his ring with the prince's crest, and his nervous flight point to deeper involvement. Graves hesitates, then admits he found a small vial under the table after the diplomat left, which he assumed was spilled perfume. Poirot requests it, and Graves retrieves a tiny glass tube, its contents matching the poison vial from the stables. The web tightens. Returning to the hall, Poirot examines the trapdoor more closely. Kneeling, he lifts the rug and opens the panel, peering into the dark shaft. A faint glint catches his eye, a silver cufflink, engraved with an R lodged in a crack. Sir Reginald again, or a deliberate misdirection? Poirot pockets it, his thoughts racing. The cufflink, the poison, the diplomat's ring, all circle back to the journal's mention of a silent partner. He closes the trapdoor, ensuring it's secure, and scans the room for other signs. A faint scratch on the floor near the prince's chair suggests something was moved. A chair, perhaps, or a hidden device. He files this away, knowing time is short. The king arrives, his face pale but composed, flanked by Sir Reginald and the prince. The prince's cold smile is intact, but his eyes flicker with unease as he takes his seat. Sir Reginald hovers close to the king, his posture rigid, his gaze darting to Poirot. Lady Eleanor enters next, her elegance masking a faint tremor in her hands. The young diplomat follows, his limp pronounced as he avoids Poirot's stare. The room fills with a tense silence, broken only by the clink of cutlery as servants pour tea. Poirot positions himself near the sideboard, his presence unobtrusive but his senses alert. He watches every movement, the prince's careful sip, Sir Reginald's hovering hand, Lady Eleanor's forced smile. As breakfast begins, Poirot notices a servant, a new face not on the roster, pouring wine from a decanter. The cloudy tinge he spotted earlier is gone, but the servant's hands shake slightly. Poirot intercepts him, requesting a private word. In the corridor, the servant, a young man named Thomas, crumbles under Poirot's gentle but firm questioning. He admits Lady Eleanor paid him to swap the decanters, claiming it was a harmless prank. Poirot's moustache twitches, her involvement deepens, but is she the falcon or a pawn? Thomas describes a man who gave him the new decanter, limping and wearing a dark hat, matching the diplomat's description. The plot thickens, the players converging. Poirot returns to the hall, his mind mapping the connections. The journal's warnings, the poisoned goblet, the vial, the cufflink, and now the swapped decanter point to a coordinated strike. He approaches the king discreetly, suggesting a delay in the meal for security concerns. The king, trusting Poirot, agrees, and the guests are ushered to a drawing room. Poirot seizes the moment, confronting Lady Eleanor in a quiet corner. Her face pales as he mentions the silk scrap and the decanter. She denies everything, but her voice cracks, and she glances at the diplomat, who's whispering to the prince. Poirot presses, hinting at the locket's portrait. Her eyes widen. She knows the younger man, but she refuses to speak, hurrying away. The diplomat, sensing scrutiny, slips toward the servants' passage. Poirot follows, catching him at the panel. The diplomat's ring glints as he stammers, claiming he's fetching documents. Poirot reveals the cufflink, watching his reaction. The diplomat's face betrays fear, but he insists it's not his, blaming Sir Reginald. The lie is thin, and Poirot lets him go, knowing he'll lead to more clues. As the hall empties, Poirot examines the decanter Thomas used. A faint residue inside confirms his fears. Poison, meant to strike during the toast. The breakfast is postponed, but the danger lingers. The Falcon's plan is foiled for now, but the killer is among them, watching. Lady Eleanor's panic, the diplomat's lies, Sir Reginald's control, and the prince's silence form a deadly quartet. The locket's portrait haunts Poirot. Was it the prince's brother, a motive tied to family? The solstice clock ticks louder, and the throne's fate rests on Poirot's next move. He adjusts his coat, the cufflink and vial heavy in his pocket. The dining hall has exposed the plot's heart, but the Falcon's face remains hidden. The final confrontation looms, and Poirot must act before the traitor strikes again. Chapter 10. The Falcon Unmasked. Hercule Poirot stands in the palace's grand drawing room, where the morning light filters through heavy velvet curtains, casting long shadows across the assembled guests. The breakfast has been postponed. The king's safe for now, but the air crackles with tension. The poisoned goblet, the vial from the stables, the journal's warnings, the locket's portrait, the silk scrap, the cufflink, and the diplomat's lies, all converge in this moment. The solstice is hours away, and the Falcon's plan to topple the throne teeters on the edge of execution. Poirot's grey cells have woven the clues into a tapestry of truth, and now, with the king, the prince, Lady Eleanor, Sir Reginald, and the young diplomat gathered, he prepares to unmask the traitor and reveal the heart of the conspiracy. The room is a study in opulence. Gilded mirrors reflect the anxious faces of the nobles. A marble fireplace roars softly, and a crystal chandelier glints overhead. Poirot stands at the centre, his small frame commanding attention, his moustache perfectly waxed despite the sleepless night. He begins with a calm, deliberate tone, addressing the king directly. He recounts the murder of Lord Harrington, a loyal adviser whose death was no accident but a spark to ignite chaos. The guests shift uncomfortably, their eyes darting. Lady Eleanor's hands twist her shawl. The diplomat's limp is pronounced as he fidgets. Sir Reginald's jaw tightens, and the prince's cold smile falters. Poirot lays out the clues methodically, his voice a steady rhythm. He describes the coded treaty in Harrington's study, hinting at treason tied to the prince's alliance. The Falcon key, found in a hidden compartment, unlocked a box of letters naming the Falcon as the orchestrator of a plot to sabotage the throne. The silk glove with the prince's crest, left in the pavilion, seemed to point to him, but its pristine condition suggested a plant. The poison vial and map from the stables, marked with a red X at the dining hall, revealed an assassination attempt set for dawn. The journal, hidden in the dining hall's cabinet, confirmed Harrington's fears of a traitor within the court. Each clue, Poirot explains, was a thread in a web designed to destabilize the crown. He turns to the locket, producing it from his pocket. The portrait inside, a younger man resembling the prince, draws a gasp from the room. Poirot reveals its significance. The prince's brother, thought dead in a border skirmish, but alive and hidden in London, working as the young diplomat. The diplomat's face drains of colour, his ring with the prince's crest glinting as he grips his chair. Poirot explains that the diplomat, whose real name is Victor, survived the skirmish and harboured a grudge against the king, blaming him for abandoning his nation's soldiers. Victor, the true Falcon, orchestrated the plot to poison the king, using Harrington's murder to sow distrust and collapse the alliance. Poirot shifts to Lady Eleanor, whose creased dress and silk scrap tied her to the servants' passage. She was Victor's unwilling accomplice, blackmailed with evidence of her own financial misdeeds. Her visits to the dining hall and the pavilion were attempts to follow Victor's orders while seeking a way out. The feminine curse in the stables was hers. A moment of panic when she nearly collided with Poirot. She breaks down, admitting her role but pleading ignorance of the poison's full intent. The king's eyes soften, but Poirot moves on, his gaze locking onto Sir Reginald. The cufflink with an R found in the trapdoor seemed to implicate Sir Reginald, but Poirot reveals it was another misdirection. Sir Reginald, fiercely loyal, had been investigating Harrington's concerns about the Falcon, but was misled by Victor's planted clues. The muddy boots of the guard, the swapped decanter, the limping man. All were Victor's manipulations, using his diplomatic status to move freely and sow chaos. The handkerchief with an R was stolen from Sir Reginald's quarters. Another false trail. Poirot produces the half-burned note from the prince's parlour, its handwriting matching Victor's, detailing the midnight pavilion meeting where he planned the final strike. The prince, silent until now, rises, his face a mask of shame. He confesses he knew of Victor's survival but hid it, fearing scandal would ruin the alliance. Victor exploited this, using the prince's crest to frame him while plotting the king's death as revenge. The treaty, Harrington's murder, the poison, all were steps to plunge England into chaos, weakening it for Victor's homeland to exploit. The diplomat, cornered, lunges for the door, but guards seize him. His ring falls, clattering on the floor, its crest a final confirmation of his identity. Poirot concludes, addressing the king. The throne is safe, the alliance preserved, but trust must be rebuilt. He urges clemency for Lady Eleanor, who acted under duress, and vigilance for Sir Reginald, whose loyalty was tested but true. The prince, humbled, vows to strengthen the treaty honestly. Victor, the Falcon, is led away, his plot undone by Poirot's relentless logic. The room exhales, the tension breaking like a storm passing. As the guests disperse, Poirot lingers, adjusting his bow tie. The palace resumes its rhythm, but the echoes of betrayal linger. He steps to a window, gazing at the gardens where the mystery began. The solstice dawn breaks, casting light on a throne preserved by truth. The case is closed, but Poirot's mind already seeks the next challenge. To you, dear viewers, if this tale of twists and triumphs kept you gripped, take a moment to like and subscribe. Your support means the world to us, fueling more stories of mystery and justice. Until the next puzzle, au revoir.